the final season of Umbrella Academy, and here are my thoughts. So we left off from the previous season with them now being in a world full of Hargrave, and he kind of basically owns everything, and they no longer have powers. So they're kind of in their father's world where he is the most powerful man known, and they are stuck in this world with none of their abilities. So we will be getting into spoilers right away. So if you don't want to get spoiled, click off now, watch the show, come back. But if you do not care, here we go. So in this video, I will be talking about what I liked about season 4 and what I didn't like. So here we go. We're going to start off with the things I did enjoy and liked about this season. I don't know why, but it felt like they were more together in this season, like the siblings. I love the moments when all the siblings are together because those are some of my favorite moments, and I think those are some of the best scenes as well. The sibling chemistry between these people is just so good. I think the casting department did very well with picking the right people to be siblings and to play these characters, because I just think they do so well at just being brothers and sisters to each other. And I love it every time I see it. One of my favorite scenes with the sibling dynamic was one of the van scenes, and I think it just really played at how much they are annoyed at each other and how Baby Shark wouldn't stop playing, and it just adds an extra layer of annoyance and stress. And then how they play off that and each of their characters acts to each other, it honestly feels like they are real siblings. They get on each other's nerves, but in the end they are still there for each other, and it's just the perfect mix. And this is definitely something they have always had throughout all of the seasons, and those scenes have always been some of my favorite ones to watch. But I really do like when we get to see them together and the different dynamics. I hate when they're separated, even though I understand they each have their own journeys, and it makes them come back together that much more exciting to see on the screen. Another part of the show that I liked was their new powers. So they start the season without powers, as I mentioned before, but then they end up finding Marigold and they drink it and get their powers back. But this time their powers are like amplified, and I thought that was such a cool concept because they didn't get the Marigold the same way they had before. So this way they kind of injected it and drank it, and so kind of changed their powers, which I really liked this concept and this path of where their powers were going. I just wish it was explored a little bit more. I wish they had more scenes where we saw them test out their new powers and see what they could do and figure everything out, because we saw examples of it in the one scene with the town, but I feel like we only got to see a few of them with their new powers. So that was kind of disappointing. We didn't get to see everyone's new abilities, and I think it would have just been a fun, cool, entertaining scene to see them try them out and probably even test them out on each other, like, oh, let me see what I can do, like, oh, let me try this on you. And I think it would have added a little bit more comedy, and I think it just would have been a fun couple of scenes to see all the siblings together trying out new powers and how they can control them and figure out what they can actually do now. I just feel like it was a missed opportunity for this season of the show, and I wish they would have delved into that a little bit more. Okay, let's talk about the ending. I was actually satisfied with the ending. Did I want them to die? No. I wish there was a way to save the world and for them to still be alive, but I did understand why they had to die, and then by sacrificing themselves, they saved the world. I also love seeing past characters in this new world as well, like without the Umbrella Academy. It was cool to see some of those characters we saw through the past seasons and how their kind of new lives are without the effects of the Umbrella Academy, those people being born, and how happy everyone was. It was basically like a happily ever after. And we did see this cute little moment of some marigold flowers, the same amount as the Umbrella Academy. I think it was just send off and farewell that we can believe that they kind of still are with us in some type of way. So the ending, I didn't hate it, and I was kind of satisfied for how it went about for the Umbrella Academy. So overall, I was satisfied, and I thought it was a complete ending. It was how their journey was supposed to end, and I was okay with that. It was bittersweet, but they all, did it to save the world, and which they have been doing for the past couple seasons, so I was okay with the ending. Okay, now we're going to get into things that I did not enjoy about this season. Okay, first one, Sloane. What happened to Sloane? Why was she not in this last season? Let me just tell you, I was one of those people that really liked Sloane. I loved her and Luther together so much. Of course, if you know me, I'm a sucker for romance. So you give me a little bit of romance, I'm going to want more. And I wanted more Sloane and Luther. And at the end of the previous season, Sloane was not with them. And then Luther runs away looking for her. I think in this final season, her name was mentioned once, maybe twice. And I think he said was like, oh, Sloan would have loved this. Like he found some little caricature and he's like, oh, Sloan would have loved this. And that's it. And I was like, are we serious? It just didn't make sense to me that Luther would have stopped looking for her. Like, and it was not explained at all why he stopped. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it had been years, but do you know how many years Luther was on the moon? This man would not have stopped looking for this woman that he loved. I really do think that Luther would have spent his life trying to find out where she was, or at least what happened to her. Also, why couldn't she have come to the new timeline? I don't understand. How come Lila could come, but not Sloan? It just didn't make sense to me. Please, someone, if there's an explanation why, leave it in the comments because I don't understand. Because to me, it would have made sense if only the original Umbrella Academy were there. So, and Lila wasn't. But don't get me wrong, I love Lila. I'm glad she was there. But I just don't know why we couldn't have Sloan come as well. I really enjoyed Sloan in season 3, and I really wanted to see her in season 4. And to me, I feel like Luther is one of the more selfless ones within the siblings. I do think he tries to be the hero, but he tries to protect and save everyone, and he's always willing to give and give without too many questions. I think when he found Sloan, I was so happy for him, and I was like, they are just perfect, 2 peas in a pod. They're both adorable, and I wanted more of that in season 4. I would have loved to see what him and Sloan would have been like in season 4. I think it would have been such a cute little storyline, but we didn't get that, and I feel betrayed. First of all, I think they should have had Sloan in season 4, and I think it would have been great, but that's just me. So yeah, I was very disappointed that Sloan did not make it to season 4, and they kind of just didn't even talk about what even happened to her or why she didn't come back. Like, where were the other ones? Because they all technically got the Marigold, like the Sparrow Academy kids. They all got the Marigold, so why weren't they in this new world as well? Like, because when they still basically exist? I don't know, but I was disappointed. Okay, another thing I didn't like, Raymond. What happened with Raymond? I did not like that storyline. And I also didn't like that he basically wasn't in the season at all. So you're telling me Allison did all that backstabbing in season 4 to get the life that she has now? No. And you're telling me Raymond just up and left her? No, that is not Raymond. Raymond would have stayed with Allison even if he was mad at her. He would have stayed with her and fought for their marriage. And you believe he wouldn't have left his daughter. He would have been there, the present father that he is. So let me tell you, I was upset with how they went about with this storyline. And I'm not saying that he wasn't present in the life, but I'm just saying Raymond would have been there no matter how annoyed he was with Allison. I think he would have stayed. And even if they were having problems, they still should have had him in for the show this season. So I was really kind of upset and annoyed that he was written off, saying that he left Allison. And I'm like, Raymond, are we talking about the same Raymond? Because 2 + 2 is not adding up to 4. It's just not making sense. They're telling more than showing. They're like, you're telling me that he left, but I don't believe it. Like, it just doesn't match his character. So I really just wish we got to see more of Raymond, see kind of him in this new timeline and what him and Allison would have been like. I do believe there would have been some struggles, but Allison made a deal with her father Hargraves, and I feel like part of that deal, she would have got the Raymond that she knew back in the past, and knowing that Raymond, he would have stuck by her for better or for worse. So I'm just disappointed that he was written off, and I really wish he would have been there for season 4. Okay, and what I hate absolute most was the storyline between Lila and Five. It was my least favorite thing out of this entire season. Talk about unnecessary. Lila and Five travel to a different timeline and end up getting lost in this little subway thing of traveling between timelines, and they're not able to find their way back. So for so many years, they are trying to get back, trying to figure out how to get back to their loved ones, and it's not working. And I had a feeling when the scenes for the situation started, I had a feeling from the montage that they were going to go from this direction. And I was really, really hoping that it wouldn't go in a romantic way and that what I thought was going to happen was wrong. But unfortunately, they did do that. And I didn't like it. It just didn't make sense to me. Like, it really didn't. And I know they tried as best they could to show us they were having feelings for each other. But honestly, I was not convinced, like, at all. Like, they didn't show me enough to show me that they would have fell in love. it just didn't make sense for their characters either. Like, I could see Five a little falling in love because he did have to do this alone for so many years previously. So I can kind of see him being like, oh my goodness, I'm doing this again, but like happy he has someone with him this time. He's like, I can fall in love with a real human. But for Lila, it didn't really make sense to me. And the fact that she only mentioned her kids one time was crazy to me. I thought she would have been more determined to make it back for her kids, make it back to Diego. Like, I know there were problems, but I thought she'd be more determined to make it back to them. To me, they didn't really show that urgency, and the fact that they only had her mention her kids once, this whole situation was crazy to me. And I have never been in the situation that they have been, so I don't know what I would do or how I would feel. But it just felt really weird, this romantic situation. And honestly, I couldn't get out of my head that he is basically a child and she's a full-grown adult. And I know technically he's a grown man in a child's body, but he looks like a child and she's an adult with 3 kids and a husband. And I know it was a long time. It was like, what, 6 years or something like that. Another thing is, like, because Five has done this before for so many years. So, like, I can kind of understand how his character would fall in love. But that was when he was a child and he was going through this. But now he's technically a full-grown adult, lived so many lives, and he has done so many things as he's grown older. So that's why part of me doesn't see how he could fall so easily within the 7 or 6 years, the amount of time that they were lost and couldn't get back. Because I'm like, he's a grown man now and he's no longer a child. So I feel like he'd be able to last longer or like go through it again longer. Honestly, I don't know, but that's why it still felt a little weird that he fell for her. So, well, in my timeline, from seeing it looks soon, but again, they told us they had many, many years in this timeline. So I don't know, but it didn't feel right for their characters. And I think I saw someone make a fan edit on TikTok saying that if Lila and Five being stuck, they would actually be at each other's throats. And honestly, I agree. I can totally see that because in the first couple seasons, they hate each other and there was no ever romantic inkling at all between them. Like, why would there be? So in this, it would have made sense that they would be at each other's throats, that they'd even grow more apart and be enemies and hate each other even more throughout this time period, even though they're the only ones they can trust. But I can see them being at each other's throats more than I can see them falling in love with each other. So again, this is my least favorite part of the entire season. It didn't make sense to me. I don't know why they decided to go down this path, but it didn't make sense for their characters. And maybe if we had more time to adjust, I could understand, but it was such a short amount of time that it just didn't work. I also think them being in this relationship tainted the final moments that they had before their deaths. When Diego and the rest of the family finds out what actually happened, they're in an argument with each other and they're all fighting, and it was really tough to see that this was happening right before their final moments. And I really wish that they didn't even have that relationship at all, because I'd rather them just all be on good terms and happy and everything go pretty much okay right before they had to say goodbye and never see each other again and sacrifice themselves. So yeah, I really feel like just having that relationship and then them come back tainted the final moments that they could have had just saying goodbye and really truly like enjoying their last final moments with each other. So after watching season 4 of The Umbrella Academy, I would give it 3 stars. So to me, it was still like a good, decent season. It was just good. It wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't like a bad. I don't think it was terrible. So after watching the season, I definitely wish they had done some things differently. I also noticed that this season had less episodes than the previous ones. So that could be the reason why certain things weren't really fleshed out or explored. And I think in general, if you're going to give a show a final season, make it good. Give them the full episodes that they had before. Don't try to cut back. I think if you're going to have a final season, you should go big. Do a final season justice. Honestly, for the fan base, for the people that put all their work and time into making this show, for the cast and crew that has spent so much of their lives dedicating to the show and the characters of the show. So to cut back on episodes and to kind of cut back on things that would have made this season probably better, to me it's kind of messed up. And I feel like you're doing a disservice to the fan base, to people who put in their time to watch the show and make it as popular as it is and who really did enjoy it. And so I think if you're going to give a show a final season, is kind of like a thank you to the fans. Being able to have a final season is really an honor, just to be able to close out a show and to give the proper goodbye for everyone who was a part of it and who watched it and enjoyed it. Seeing some things and kind of hearing what other people were saying, how things were cut out, the season was cut shorter than what they typically has, is kind of sad and disappointing to hear, because I know a show is getting a final season. It is sad, but I am happy that when I hear about a final season, like they know it's their final season, that we're going to get a complete goodbye and have a good ending to a terrific, amazing show and story that we spent years watching and enjoying. So just kind of seeing what happened to this final season, like it was good, but I definitely think if they had a few more episodes, it would have been so much better. And I have enjoyed past seasons, so it was kind of sad to see it go out like this, and how certain things kind of weren't completed to what they could have been. I do hope this is not a trend for future shows, and if they get final seasons, that things get cut out and cut back, because it is the last season. I hope things go out with a bang, and that final seasons they treat as if it is like the first season of a show, that it should be fully completed and they should pull out all the stops just to do a last hurrah and a proper goodbye to everyone who's a part of the show, to the characters, and to the fan base that really enjoyed going on the journey with these characters. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. As you can see, I really do enjoy the show, and I was happy with the ending. I'm just sad seeing how things could have been, but unfortunately they were not. I am sad to say goodbye to the Umbrella Academy. This was one show that I really did enjoy, and it was one show me and my sister would always sit together once it premiered and watch the entire season, and we absolutely loved it. So if you have seen the final season of the Umbrella Academy, what did you think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Were some of your favorite moments my favorite moments? Were some of my least favorite moments match up with yours? Or did you like some of the things they did with the show that maybe I just didn't like? Let me know your thoughts down below. Again, I love the show. I love all the characters on the show as well, and I will definitely try to follow their careers as best I can and see what else they're in, and maybe watch some more shows that they are also in. I'd definitely be excited to see what else they are doing in the future. I will be linking my website down below if you guys want to see any more TV content. I will also link down my socials. It is ATS_MGO on all platforms if you're interested on following me on any of those. But that is about it. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, week, month, and hopefully a good rest of your year. And until next time, bye.